because this is an animated miniseries, which you do not hear that often.
No, they don't often do this kind of thing.
Yeah, and so what drew you to this one?
In 2014, Cartoon Network ventured to create its first ever miniseries to be helmed by Patrick McHale, then creative director of Adventure Time. The 10-episode miniseries was a departure from the popular shows on the channel, such as Gumball, Clarence, and Teen Titans Go. These more colorful, zany, episodic shows were a stark contrast to Over the Garden Wall, with its muted color palette, classical art style, and grim subject matter.
Honestly, the artwork that kind of drew me in. It evoked, cartoons that we haven't seen in a long time, the idea of something that's hand-painted.
It was a nostalgic change of pace for a network that had settled on a defined formula for its programming, the random and absurdist meta-humor being their calling card as of late. The show that we did get remains one of my favorites, a story with lessons, plenty of Easter eggs for rewatches, all sprinkled with dry humor to ease a tense situation.
Curse you, lady, curse you. You'll die someday, and I'll laugh. Laugh! Oh, forget this, I am out of here.
I'll be exploring the series and what makes it such a great watch in this essay, examining identity, personal relationships, and fear through the lens of the main characters. So, let's dive right in.
Well, welcome to the unknown, boys. You're more lost than you realize.
Patrick McHale's passion project began with a different title, The Tome of the Unknown, Harvest Melody, which had similar characters as our main trio in Over the Garden Wall. This version served as a pilot for what would become the actual series. The differences are many, with plenty of early concepts finding homes embedded within the grander story. However, we can glean some of the ideas in their earlier stages, for example, the Forest of the Unknown, and the goal of finding yourself within it. The backstories of the characters are not fleshed out in this pilot version of the tale, but Wirt, Greg, and Beatrice are all included in this mission to find a book that tells us about everything ever forgotten.
Wandering onwards, seeking to find a strange book containing all that has ever been forgotten.
Wirt in Over the Garden Wall bears many similarities to the side character Crops from the pilot.
I myself always had a mind to drive this clunker to the big city and leave this lonely old country life behind.
Mainly his fears of setting out to meet people, his background as a musician, and his failed attempts at finding a soulmate.
Maybe find a gal who liked my company? But that ain't in the cards for me, I suppose.
We find Wirt in the very first episode of the main series saying his poem.
Though I am lost, my wounded heart resides back home, in pieces strewn about the graveyard of my lost love.
Song sucks, Dave. What?
Highlighting his fascination with being alone, really a guise to mask his fears of making a change.
Lonely night and day.
Your song? It's awful. I hate it.
Greg is mainly the same in both versions of his appearance, just a really funny character that's out of the box and takes life as it comes. Beatrice's motivations aren't painted as clearly as in the finished product. However, both stories serve as cautionary tales to those who are afraid of taking the plunge and living life to its fullest, despite all of its unknowns. Over the Garden Wall introduces us again to two half-brothers who are stuck in a forest that stretches as far as the darkness that clouds it. The first characters we're introduced to outside of our main duo is the woodsman, voiced brilliantly by none other than Doc Brown himself, Christopher Lloyd. He gives the boys an ominous warning about the beast, offers to guide them on their journey, and makes his way through the story chopping down edelwood trees to light the eternal flame in his lantern.
Everyone has a torch to burn, and this here is mine. I grind the horrid edelwood trees into oil to keep this lantern lit. This is my lot in life.
Throughout this story, the boys find out that not all is as it appears to be in the forest, and learn to not judge anything from what they can see. Examples such as the beastly dog who ingests the black turtles, the gorilla that terrorizes school children, or even the large man that hides instruments under his trench coat. No greater twist in this lesson is there than the warning that the boys receive about the woodsman being the beast.
He who carries the dark lantern must be the beast.
What? No, the woodsman's a good guy. He warned us of the beast and told us which direction to go to avoid him.
And now you're more lost than ever, huh?
Yeah, but...
This we learn at the end of the story is a metaphor that our greatest fears at the end of the day find their origins in us. In traditional Christianity, the name of the beast, or the fallen angel, that becomes the devil is Lucifer, meaning the light bearer, furthering the tie to the limbo-like state of the unknown and purgatory.
Join you? Yeah, no, I'm just passing through.
Folks don't tend to pass through Pottsfield.
Oh, yeah?
Although there's a lot of speculation, this might also explain the symbolic meaning of the turtles who, upon their consumption, turn things evil. It's a metaphor based on the famous C.S. Lewis quote, who describes the underworld as without milestones, without signposts. A great definition of the unknown if ever there were one.
It's a metaphor.
Just like the turtles, it's a slow trek to losing your dreams, your identity, and finally, your humanity. The fact that the dog in the first episode consumed the turtles because Greg had placed candy on them might speak to how enticing a life of sin can be, sugar-coated and fun, but actually deadly, similar to Greg's version of the unknown. In this way, Wirt is the one who most resembles the woodsman in their character arcs. He's an apprehensive boy just coming of age. He shirks his responsibilities toward his younger brother and laments his condition, which are mostly caused by his inaction.
Once again, you ruined my life.
Who, me?
Ugh, you and your stupid dad. You're always prodding me, trying to get me to join marching band.
Oh yeah, if you join the marching band, you can hang out with Sarah more.
That ship has sailed, Greg.
He's content to stay exactly where he's at in life, as a forlorn poet, the same way that the woodsman has been traveling through the forest for ages. Fortunately for Wirt, the characters in the story push him out of his comfort zone, sometimes quite literally.
Midwife, no!
Sing! Sing, lover, sing! Sing, lover, sing!
Do something! Whoa! Oh boy, I guess I'm really doing this. Horse, I'm just gonna pretend like I can ride you, all right?
It's almost like the characters in the unknown are conspiring him to action early in his journey. Even Beatrice, who ultimately wants to betray Wirt, scoffs and critiques his ideas on how people should live.
Just a pathetic pushover who relies on others to make all his decisions?
Hey, what? I'm not a pushover.
Hold on, Wirt, let me get to my point.
Fine.
See, Greg? No willpower whatsoever.
From the tavern episode, we see that Wirt's inaction may have to do with his lack of an identity, and that's foundational to the show's progress.
But who are you?
I'm Wirt. I'm just a guy, I guess. What do you mean?
In the tavern, he's asked about who he is, and he's unsure of his answer. In the same way that the story begins with Greg trying to find a name for his pet frog, knowing who you are is a key part of their story.
Salami, Giggly, Jumpy, Tom, Thomas, Tambourine, Leg, Face, McCollin, Artichoke, Penguin, Pete, Steve. But I think the very worst name for this frog is Jason Funderburker.
Is his identity, like the tavern patrons, in the things he does?
Well, he's the butcher.
I'm the butcher.
The baker.
Yeah.
The midwife. The master and apprentice. The tailor. And I'm the tavern keeper. Who are you?
Why does he hesitate to say he's a musician, or a poet, or even an older brother? It's because there's a responsibility that comes from claiming these titles, that Wirt continues to rebuff them. He's non-committal to the very end because to define himself means he has to live up to that role.
You have it backwards. You are the elder child. You are responsible for you and your brother's actions.
So what's the plan, Greg?
Plan? Oh, really? It was all my fault?
Yeah, so it's not my job to get us home, okay? I'm done.
Are you saying I should be the leader?
I don't care what you do.
We see the same hesitation when Beatrice finally gets him to open up about his past, and she realizes about him.
You got a lot more going for you than I thought.
Beatrice's change of heart comes at the fact that she knows and relates to Wirt, that he isn't just some kid that she can trade her freedom for. And this happens because of the connection she's able to establish when Wirt opens himself up to people. What makes Beatrice's betrayal so strong is because Wirt has difficulty expressing himself, which is why he has a tough time making friends. He's not so easily trusting as Greg, and this makes him shell up even further in the second half of the story. The conflict of knowing who you are and what you want out of life is a crux of the story. That you can find these things if you open yourself up to the opportunities that life provides you is made clear to Wirt, who in the climax of the story wakes up from the slumber that befell all of the other victims in the woods to save his younger brother, metaphorically and figuratively, as he drags them out of the lake. He's taken on the responsibilities of the roles he inhabits in his life and no longer denies letting those close to him know that he loves them. He also saves the woodsman from continuing the futile effort of keeping the flame in his lantern burning, a fire whose kindling was the lost souls of the forest that forgot or gave up on their purpose. The beast is beaten by Wirt, who realizes our fears only last until we accept that the unknown will always be frightening. But we have to face it head on if we want to make progress as people. For the woodsman, this is facing the fear of death, and he's finally able to cross to the other side to be with his daughter, once he overcomes the fear of losing her forever. For Wirt, this is facing the unknowns of being an older brother, making friends, and expressing who you are. Like Crops from the pilot, by taking risks, he finds reassurance in the people that he loves. Like the woodsman says, everyone has a torch to burn. And like the woodsman, we carry the burden of our fears of the unknown as we try and make our way in the world. This reminds us that the devil is in despair, and the beast makes his mark on the poor souls who forget who they are in the struggle. Over the Garden Wall shows us it's okay to grieve, to face the dark times with only what we carry in our hearts, to accept our losses, but come what may, you can always choose to love again.
Led through the mist by the milk light of moon.
I guess the world really is as sweet as potatoes and molasses.
Oh, potatoes and molasses. If you want some.
I make ends meet just like any man. I work with my hands.
I want to thank you all who stay tuned in. I hope you can give me a like, subscribe, and comment if you appreciated anything about this video. Feel free to explore my channel more for other essays. If you're so inclined, my Patreon is set up now to help the channel grow. And as always, thank you for watching.